This is the finish line for the Badwater 135 Marathon. It begins at the lowest point on land in the Western Hemisphere, down in Death Valley, Nevada, which is also incidentally the hottest place on Earth. And it ends here, just a little over halfway up Mount Whitney in eastern California. This year it's happening just as a gigantic heat dome settles over a huge swathe of the western United States, threatening to break temperature records.
Death Valley is the world's hottest place, and it's traditionally in the 120s during the day, during the summer, and during this race, and that is an extreme temperature. It really adds a whole extra level of intensity to the race and puts the body through a lot of intense physiological stresses on top of the distance and the elevation gain and the other things that make this race so tough.
Dehydration is a huge issue, especially as it gets hotter. And then also trying to keep food down becomes an issue. And when you can't keep food and drink down, that makes this race even tougher. The wind, the first night, we had a 40-mile-an-hour headwind all night. And so that really made it tough. So you get the temps and the wind, that was double. Yeah, that was tough.
And while the runners in this race train specially for the extreme conditions, it's a lot harder to prepare large, populous cities like Las Vegas in Nevada, Phoenix in Arizona, or Salt Lake City in Utah. With each passing year, there are more and more summer days where the conditions in downtown Las Vegas resemble something more like what you find in Death Valley. Now you can run a city in those conditions, just look at Dubai. And even the workers here who spend all day outdoors told me they could still do their jobs on the worst days if they had more water and more pay to deal with the extra risk of sickness. That's the problem. Doing that requires more of everything. More ceiling misters in shopping arcades, more fountains, more free bottles of water, more air conditioning, more electricity and more water. Things that this whole region is already struggling to find enough of. This is the Hoover Dam on the border between Nevada and Arizona. It was built in the 1930s to provide electricity to the rapidly growing cities of the southwestern United States. But this is the dam's reservoir, Lake Mead, and you can already see it is not what it once was. That white area is known as the bathtub ring. It's basically calcium deposits left by the receding waterline. And it's actually taller, although you can't really tell from here, than the Statue of Liberty. If the lake's surface falls by just over the same amount again, it will go below the level at which the dam actually takes in water, and the dam will stop running. But the biggest problem is the water itself. This lake is now at 36% of its capacity, or it hit that in June. And yet, 28 million people still rely on it for water, including 90% of the population of Las Vegas.